All right, it's David from Marketing Food Online. So in this video, I'm gonna give you the 3 ways on how co-packers charge you. And if your question is, how much do co-packers charge for food businesses? You're gonna love to stick around for the rest of this video. I'm gonna go over the 3 ways they do it, give you some pricing, and we're gonna jump into that right now. All right, so as I mentioned back in the introduction, this video is going to cover 3 different methods that co-packers for your food business will charge you in order for them to help scale your business, produce the product for you, and even ship it out to areas where you need it to be shipped. So we're going to dive into this question. Before we do, as always, this is the first video you're watching on Marketing Food Online. I am Damian Roberti, founder of Marketing Food Online. I am an entrepreneur. My wife and I started our e-commerce food businesses over a decade ago, and that's what inspired me to start a YouTube channel to teach you guys what I've learned over the past 12 years. So first off, let's dive into it. So co-packers have 3 different methods to actually charge based upon the needs that you have, the services they can actually provide you, and the duration of time it takes to make your product. Before we get into those 3, the first question is, when should I use a co-packer? This is actually a question I get emailed through our Marketing Food Online at Yahoo email quite often. When should I use a co-packer, Damian? So if you are creating a food product at home, and you're doing it under the cottage food law, and you've been very successful doing it, you're making some money at doing it, and obviously staying within the limitations of cottage food law, but you're wanting to expand and step out. You've already created a customer base locally, but now you wanted to get a website, maybe potentially get into a retail store, maybe even local cafes, wherever it may be, but you've kind of maxed out the ability for you to produce the quantities that are needed to grow your business. That is a good point and reference to start approaching a co-packer. Now, definitely one time when you should not approach a co-packer is when you first start a business. You have an idea, you created a packaging, you've got your label, you got your logo, you've got your brand, but you don't have any proof of sale yet. You don't have any proof of idea or proof of concept. So nobody knows about your product. You don't want to approach a co-packer and ask them, hey, can you produce 5, 6, 7,000 units of this product? Because then I want to try to sell it. The idea is to kind of get some local buzz about your product, or go online, and if you have the ability to get a commercial space and ship the product through the internet, go on Amazon, eBay, and Etsy and generate some sales first. But you want to be at the point where you can generate additional sales, scale it, even get into retail stores or maybe even a nationwide grocery chain. That is a great point that you need to start contacting a co-packer, because they can produce the product for you at a very short period of time, but make more of it than you could possibly do by yourself. Okay, so for the first type of charge that a co-packer will charge you in order to do the product is a per unit charge. Now, this could be very unique unto the type of product that you make, but we actually contacted 16 different co-packers, and we got a variation of price points, anywhere from 30 cents up to 60 cents is what we got per unit in order for them to produce the product on an individual basis. So that would mean like, hey, you know what? I contact a co-packer and say, look, I'm gonna get about 5,000 units or 1,000 units of your product. I want you to produce it for me. The co-packer is going to give you a per unit cost. So that range between anywhere from 20 to 60 cents per unit, that's going to be the range per unit based upon that size of an order. And then that way you'll get a quote and you'll know how much it is going to be going into it. Okay. So the first type is actually a per unit charge. Okay, so the second type of way that a co-packer will charge you to do their services is an hourly rate. Now, this is kind of a little bit more of an expensive venture in some cases, because the range that we found was between $20 an hour up to actually $70 an hour. Now, again, depending upon the type of product that you make, for instance, using as an example, if you get a company to produce a trail mix for you, the idea of mixing a trail mix together, putting it into a bag and labeling it is obviously much different if you go and you have a spaghetti sauce or a salsa, or you have a lot more of a labor-intensive product that has to be chopped, measured, even cooked, cooled down, and then put into a process of canning, jarring, or something to that effect. That's going to vary greatly, okay? So don't get me wrong. Some of these may be inexpensive depending on the price per unit for the type of product that you're making and the way that it's going to be made. And then some are going to be much more labor intensive, and that's going to be a little bit on the higher end. So when you calculate your wholesale pricing, you need to factor in the cost that the co-packer's using it, either it be by unit or by hour, and you need to make sure that you're covering that cost when you pass that price point on as a wholesale price point to your retail store, or if you're selling it to someone else who's going to resell it, they're going to buy it as a wholesale price point. You want to make sure that you're factoring in those costs as well, okay? Third way, if you want to look for the average co-packer markup price point, you're going to look at a third way, and that third way is a flat day rate. Okay, so a flat day rate works where they're going to charge you, the copacker will charge you a set amount for the entire day. Now, normally that hour span is between about 8 to even 10 hours. We found a couple of copackers that actually did spices that had a 10-hour day period. Between 8 to 10 hours in a single day, they're going to charge you a specific dollar amount. This is really an interesting way to do it, and actually one way where you can maximize the workday by producing as much as you possibly can, because it's not per unit, it's not broken down by hour, you get them the whole entire day. So if you can produce a certain amount within that day, this may be the most beneficial as far as your investment's going to be concerned. Now, this range was between $500 up to $1,000 range for the entire day. Now again, this goes back to what I mentioned just a little while ago. You want to be careful because of the type of processing it takes to make your particular product. Dry spice rubs, nut blends, or trail mixes, things that don't have to be cooked and cooled and measured to a point where you've got ingredients and a whole multitude of items going into it, are going to be a lot less, plus they're a lot less time to make. So the more intricate, more involved the product may be, you're going to have a tendency to have a little bit more on the higher end as far as the pricing is concerned when you use a copacker. All right, so that's going to be the rundown of the 3 main ways that actually copackers will charge you, so you can understand how much do copackers charge. And you want to make sure you check out, I've got a video that's coming out that's going to give you a list of actual secret expenses that a lot of people don't think about when you're dealing with copackers. Not only are these 3 ways the ways that they can actually charge you, but there is actually a handful of other fees that you may have never heard of. And on my next video I'm going to produce, I'll put out for the copackers, I'm going to list those different expenses and things that you need to be aware of, plus the things that you need to ask your copacker. So if that was helpful, as always, let me know down below. Those are the 3 different ways that you can actually get charged. And as I mentioned, I think the last one is one that can be really beneficial, especially when you're small and you're starting to expand or scale your business. Getting a copacker for the entire day at a set rate may be more beneficial. So if you have any comments or questions about this, let us know down below, and I'll see you guys on our next video. Thanks for watching Marketing Food Online. And if you are looking to create your own food truck, start a home-based food business under the cottage food law, franchise a food operation, start a packaged food business, private label your own food product, sell on Amazon, get your own online store, or sell food online, remember to subscribe and check out these videos for more resources. Take care.